blitz. You can see his eyes peek over there. I think he glanced there and right at the snap. Look at his eyes. Look at where his face mask is. He is watching, I believe, Troy Hill, that slot defender, blitzing down, right? He's seeing that. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back to take a look at the all-22 for this Lions-Panthers game. Today, we are diving into the offensive side of things. We did our defensive video a few days ago, so feel free to go check that out. But today, we're moving to the offense. And this was an impressive performance for the offense in this game because of, one, the efficiency. 20 of 28 for Goff with basically 3 drops in there and over 100 yards once again for David Montgomery. Now, we did a lot of things well to allow us to be that efficient. Number one, we essentially played with a lead the entire game, so we kept everything open at our disposal. And number two is that the defense set us up really twice with an interception and a forced fumble to go punch it in quickly. But with that being said, this is a defense with real talent. I think especially on the front level, the first level of this defense with Derek Brown, we saw some Gross Matos make some plays, and then also you throw in Brian Burns as well. Then on the second level, the linebacker play, specifically Jeremy Chinn, is kind of a matchup piece, though at times I thought we kind of took him off the field with some of the personnel that maybe we ran offensively. That was a huge part in this game as well, because one thing that we can say, even going back to last year, is every game there's always something different, right? It's always like, okay, this is what the defense does, maybe this is where they're weak or this is their tendency, so we can play off of that and do something different. And you'll see that every week we go look at. Like this week, you had a stretch there where it was like screen, screen, screen. You're like, well, what is this? This is not who we normally are. We'll throw receiver screens, but there's like a massive amount of screen passes in a row there for the Lions. And it was based on the defense and the looks that they were able to create defensively. So we always get that. And then there's always the thing they can lean back on, which is kind of playing through the run game, set up play action, lean on one of the best offensive lines in football, especially when they're relatively healthy. Glasgow's at right guard, but leaning on that run game to set up play action. Pretty much for every team we see, there's a lot of games we'll come into it and say, okay, they're pretty good in coverage, but can we force that safety to roll down? Oh, they like to play too high. Can we get that safety to roll down? And the Lions can just say, you know what? We're playing 12 personnel. We're playing 13. We'll put 3 tight ends on the field. We're going to make you match that personnel, and then we're going to run the football and ask those guys to block. Of course, there's always the creativity. Now it seems like every week we're getting a trick play thrown in there by Ben Johnson. So there's just a lot of things to showcase. I'm going to try to be straight to the point with a lot of these clips, but there's a lot of things to like in this game. Not all perfect, so we won't show all good, but just some of the things that stuck out to me in this game. Now, the first play that we start off with here, not necessarily the best example, but you're seeing we're going 11 personnel offensively, so 1 tight end, 1 back. This was key, because when the Lions would throw an extra tight end or 2 extra tight ends, that would force the defense a lot of times to match that personnel. So you got a lot of 5-man front looks, also times that would take Jeremy Chinn off the field, and you will see with this defense, with those 5-man front looks, still blitz kind of naturally out of that. We could get up to the line of scrimmage, we could go with 2 tight ends wide on the play, and then we can motion in the single back and run a play out of that based on the look that we were getting defensively when we originally got out there. We saw a lot of sugar huddles, like quickly getting to the line of scrimmage, reading it, maybe making it audible, or just quickly snapping it and going from there. So there was a lot of that mixed in as well. But the first play that we're going to take a look at kind of goes back to, I think, what Antoine Randall L. talked about. Jamison Williams was coming back, and that was the route tree that certain receivers are going to be asked to run. And this is one thing that he specifically said about Khalif Raymond, being able to use him in those fast motion looks. And we've seen a lot of this. Oh my good. You could almost every play, I feel like I noted down another motion, some sort of motion. Some plays, multiple motions that the Lions had. But this first one we take a look at is this a cross motion here from Khalif Raymond. But this is the type of route, and he's actually going to catch it. He's going to do it a cross motion. He's going to run a dig route, and he's going to have a wide open completion over the middle of the field on, again, a play action play here for the Lions. They're going into a cover 3 look defensively. You're going to see their safeties rotate. So when they motion across Khalif Raymond, now they're going to have 3 receivers on one side. Cover 3 is a balance coverage. So they're going to rotate a safety down. Of course, usually the linebackers are going to have to slide that direction. In this case, they do because they bring a blitz. So they actually lose an underneath defender. You see Jeremy Chinn rushes on this play. But really the key here is what happens, I think, with Khalif Raymond. So he motions across, but look when he snapped, he is inside of the slot receiver. Essentially, he's in a slot alignment here for Josh Reynolds. Kind of lined up here with the tight end at the snap. But as you see, he never settles. So we get the fast motion look. And this is something they talked about Khalif Raymond because he can do this where he can really maintain speed, but go from running horizontally to vertically and keeping a lot of speed and making it difficult. But what that does to me is it gives you isolated here matchup with the safety on Khalif Raymond, which the Lions, they love to do that. We've seen it in different ways. They love to get that matchup if possible. And I think that's what you get here. Because he, when we snap the ball, is inside of that slot receiver CJ Henderson has as that outside third in a cover 3 look. Now when the ball is snapped and he shoots out to the flat, all of a sudden, with this release vertically here, you can see it right here, he's going to go right to the seam and then kind of break into a post route. Because of that release, CJ Henderson's going to follow that. Now it isolates the safety who has this flat with one less underneath defender because Chin blitzes. It isolates him with Khalif Raymond one-on-one. Then you have your deep middle safety, who's of course going to be kind of caught in the mix here because of this vertical route right up the seam. And then you have this dig route right underneath it with essentially no help. You just cleared it out on that play. So that was just really good design to me on this one, utilizing that fast motion. You can see how he runs his route here.
I always love trying to pick up on some of the route discipline and detail there. So again, that inside slot is going to push vertically, and he's not going to start to lean inside because he wants to take CJ Henderson and that safety with him. He wants to basically take the vision of CJ Henderson before Khalif Raymond breaks back towards the inside and really pull him upfield. Now, Khalif in this fast motion, he leans outside early in his route, kind of slow plays it a little bit here, really trying to isolate himself with that safety. And as soon as that vision can hit CJ Henderson and basically just isolate him one-on-one with Josh Reynolds in the slot, or he basically switches the release upfield, all of a sudden then Khalif Raymond can turn on the jets and he can get upfield as fast as possible to set up the timing with the play fake and that drop by Jared Goff.
Never stops. Watch him, you see it slow, and then get upfield quickly. And, man, he just flies through his routes. Breaks down top of the route, sits down, and you can see he's just, I mean, this is wide open. This is creating a wide open look. Then, of course, underneath here, you're able to hold those underneath linebackers with the play action tied along with the drag route, holds the linebackers down and creates that window for Goff to hit. So just good execution, good play design on the first play there. Said some of these I want to get a little bit quicker too and just point out a couple things, but I think this is a good example. So here offensively, the Lions, you're going to see there's a 2 safety look, but they're going 12 personnel. I say that, but it really is. I mean, he's kind of a fullback now, so you could call him a back, whatever you want to call him. Daryl Daniels is at fullback because we don't have Cabinda right now, and you can see they also have Brock Wright. You're going to see the little motion in there, and I think a lot of times that can give, whether that's giving Goff a tell or maybe what coverage you're in defensively, we utilize it a lot of times, I think, to kind of shift the strength of the rushing play, or also in some cases just get a lead block. But in this case, you're going to see kind of that return motion settles back into a spot, and they're actually going to bring a double cornerback blitz. So it's hard to see here a little bit. The corners are going to blitz, both of them, and there's the play fake. Now, what you see is David Montgomery. You can see this live, be like, oh, dang, there was a mistake there. No, he actually just broke off of this because he sees the corner crashing down, so he's going to step over there in pass protection. That's actually, and you can see the cornerback actually went down on this play. But that's been a huge aspect of Montgomery, and there's a lot of plays that I didn't show where you see the same kind of thing. Maybe not breaking off the play action, but just stepping in pass protection. I think this is a good example of that. Him reading it, breaks it off. Now, the defender falls down, so he doesn't actually pick up the block there, but that's why that looks like what it looks like. But they bring this cornerback as well. Now the safety rolls over top. There's the play fake, and then again, you just hit that quick little zone shot play. Marvin Jones Jr. finally getting involved here. You can see a little bit of pressure there from Derek Brown on the interior from Graham Glasgow, and then, of course, the cornerback who is unblocked. One big conversation after this game was receivers blocking, but I think that's been the case for a while now. We pointed that out multiple times, but of course, with Jameson Williams back, that's going to get attention. It makes sense. I understand it. But the point is, this is really good blocking across the board, and, you know, there were still missed blocks in there. I'm not going to say it was perfect. I could think some top of my head. Marvin Jones Jr. missed one. Laporta missed one. And you could just think of those because we did miss blocks, but there was also a lot of good effort given by the receivers once again in this game. But this first touchdown here for Montgomery was really good across the board. So the Lions are going to go right at the 3 technique here. They're going to down block double team, then Jonah's going to get up to the second level. They're going to pull around Graham Glasgow, give you that power look, and they're going to have Daryl Daniels kind of lead the way, pick up the edge defender. I think his block was extremely impressive. You're going to see it here, so let's let this thing play. So here you get that double team initially. Then you're going to see Daniels. This is an impressive block here for him to get contact and end up basically sealing this off.
The reason I think defending here, Houston looks so weird going into contact with Daniels, because you're like, why did he get blocked up by our tight end? Well, I think he was playing the polar, and then when Daniels kind of came out of the backfield and led block and actually picked up that block, and Graham Glasgow instead went to the second level, I think it threw off his positioning, because immediately his first step was towards Glasgow. Then he saw Daniels, and Daniels actually picked up the block, and I think that threw off everything for him.
Then you're going to see here Graham Glasgow, who pulls around, has a clear shot at the linebacker, picks him up, and this is actually not the first lane that David Montgomery was trying to hit. It was like his third option before breaking this into a touchdown, but we sealed off so well that no one really got free defensively, and he was able to take his time before just breaking out into to the end zone essentially on this play. So you're going to see it here with Jonah Jackson. There's that double team. You're going to see Luvu, I think that's how you say his name. He's filling into this A gap, and you're going to see Jonah Jackson's going to get off the double team and try to pick that up. So that's initially where he pushes. Then as Jonah Jackson slides off, you can see Taylor Decker maybe losing a little bit of that outside leverage for David Montgomery's vision. So he's saying, okay, I'm going to sneak right through this gap. That thing gets clogged up pretty well here. And then Dave Montgomery just runs into that, but no one's off their block yet. And then he bounces out again, and Taylor Decker just does enough there. And that was Jameson Williams there, just giving good effort. It wasn't like the cleanest block, but it was really good effort, I thought, across the board here. You can see Jameson Williams just sticking with it, and then David Montgomery just makes the rest happen. Here's that 13 personnel that we talked about. You're going to see they're going to shift the strong side of the formation by bringing both tight ends over. You're going to see the defense is going to shift. They shift their linebackers to the strong side of the formation like they do here. But then on this backside, it's Derek Brown who's still in this 3 technique, and that really becomes the key. Now, he ends up making the play, but trying to use that quickness to get in front of this block to seal it off in the backside. The front side does pretty well here with Frank Ragnow, Jonah Jackson. I thought that was something coming in that we could look to do, was try to attack with some outside. You could even say this more of a stretch zone run, but some more runs like that, because I didn't think for the interior they necessarily had the quickness at certain spots to continuously keep up with some of these, stretch plays like this. And you see it here with Shy Tuttle, just struggling maybe to stick in front of this while also staying square. You see he's driven out of the play. Frank Ragnow then has kind of a clear path up to the linebacker, and Brown does ultimately make the stop there, but it's still a really good chunk and a really good push for this offensive line. Here's the thing that was really interesting to me in this game, because we've seen this and we've seen us utilize this motion. So you're going to see it here. We've seen us utilize this jet motion to shoot up to the second level, but Lions almost on this play are essentially going to isolate this safety and make him come down and tackle. How are they going to do that? Well, they're actually going to double team with Sam Laporta in this jet motion. He's actually going to double team down on Brian Burns. Linebacker shift with the jet motion, but it's really right here where I think all of this starts, because Taylor Decker is now free to seal up and get up to the second level, but also having Sam Laporta ram in there to try to continuously push that to the edge. Again, create more of that stretch look offensively, getting wide with your offensive lineman on the play once again, but double teaming here that allows Decker to get up to the second level. Then you see Jonah Jackson doing a good job here against the 3 technique, getting in front of it, sealing it off, and then you have basically a one-on-one with the safety. So they're making that safety come down and tackle. Now, we saw a lot of this. Notice they're going 2 deep safeties. Now, the depth isn't crazy deep because of where we're at on the field, but they have 2 deep safeties. We saw a lot of this. I thought the Lions looked at that and said, we can isolate that and attack it. And here, I think that's essentially what they did. With the jet motion on the play, crashing down on the edge rusher, double teaming there, allowing your lineman to just sit up to the second level and saying, hey, that safety now is to tackle Montgomery. So even if he gets a clean hit like that, we expect Dave Montgomery to drive him a couple yards back and still pick up that first down. That I just thought was super crafty offensively. So again, they go to that kind of sugar huddle look. They quickly get out there, quickly break the huddle, get up to the line. They man up defensively. Everybody's trying to match up here. And you can't see everybody on this play, but I thought this was kind of the best angle to look at it, because I thought this was just super crafty. So again, you're going to see that 5-man front. They have the 2 off-ball linebackers. Usually the key would become who was that inline player, or in some situations, who was the 3rd receiver if they went trips. So who was that inside slot? Who was that guy? Because a lot of times it would put the safety in the action, because the edge rusher wouldn't be able to carry it vertically. So that was a key. I thought the Lions attacked in a lot of different ways, but this was a super crafty way to do that. So they're actually going to allow Sam Laporta to jab inside and then leak out to the flat on this play. Now, in terms of the run fake here, they're going to give you a counter fake. So they're going to pull the lineman, they're going to counter it to pull the linebackers out of the play, and then they're going to roll Goff out to that side for Sam Laporta. But what's super crafty about this to me is with that counter fake, you're going to see Brian Burns, the edge rusher, he's seeing that happen. He's on the backside essentially of this play, so he begins to crash down. Tied along with Sam Laporta's first step is towards the inside, as if Sam Laporta was going to crash down and lay the block here on Brian Burns. So he would be like, okay, incentivized, get upfield quickly. To tie that, because of that inside stab, it forces Brian Burns to take a step upfield. Now, because of that, Josh Reynolds is in a position where he can pin down and block Brian Burns on this play, who's matched up with Sam Laporta. He's in that spot where he's able to do that because he's coming upfield. So he can stay in almost in essentially pass protection here and pin down this block to allow Laporta to be clean and just run.
From a matchup spot, the Detroit Lions basically just 4 switches across the board here. Really, 24, that safety who's in the middle of the field, he can take the inside release here if Sam Laporta tries to drag the middle, or whoever that may be, and they can switch it off with Laporta. But because they do this, they take 24 out of the play basically, and they force the switch there with the other safety, 42, Franklin.
Then what that does to the defensive backs is you're going to see the safety down here, Franklin, Franklin, number 42. What that does is he's matched up with Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds steps inside to pin down block, so he takes his initial step to match there, and then Laporte is taking off at full speed. Now they have to communicate like, okay, now you have him. They switch that off, and then Laporte just takes off into the flat, and he just gets out there too quickly. Now the play cut off, but they scored a touchdown there. But I thought that was just a really crafty little play near the end zone to get into the end zone. Beautiful catch on this play. So this is where we get that offside here. You can see Josh Reynolds seeing it on this play. You get the offside look, and they're still going to get the shot off there from Derek Brown, but they're going to go into a cover 6 look defensively. Now we did see a lot of versions, I think, of this from Carolina in this game. Here you get that 2x2 look, but you can see with the splits a little bit tighter on that left side. So here they go to that quarters look defensively, and then here on the far side or more towards the field side, that's where they go into that cover 2 look. Now they do have a third option, and that's the running back, which usually can play a factor in that. So on this side, they play that cover 2 look defensively. Now they're going to push up the seam vertically here, which is going to pull Troy Hill essentially out of this play. But it really, the key is the outside on this one, because again, another vertical route with one safety.
Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond are going to work in sync to basically open this thing up. You can see the outside corner is going to sit inside leverage. He's a little bit off on this play, but Josh Reynolds is going to play into that. So he's going to walk towards the outside as the cornerback is sitting in the inside, not trying to give it up. So he's going to walk towards the outside, and then Khalif Raymond is just going to release vertically to really pull that safety's attention. And with Josh Reynolds releasing towards the outside, the safety doesn't shift that direction because now the cornerback can try to utilize the sideline. Then once it really breaks past and that slot corner opens up, then Josh Reynolds can bust back inside before floating back outside and creating that distance in that window.
He's back on top and now floats back outside on the play. He creates that distance and that space for Goff to just kind of lay the ball up there, while also at the same time the timing of the route with Khalif Raymond to pull the safety through the seam, because his route's a little bit slower than Khalif Raymond, so that safety's attention will go here first. Then when he breaks back outside, you create a really good window for Goff to put the ball into, and then Goff lays a really nice pass right over the defender there, floats it right over top, and it's an excellent grab, and that's a huge chunk play. This one was interesting, but this was kind of what I was talking about. So you notice here in the slot, they're actually going to go into a man coverage look defensively here, but as you look in the slot, Khalif Raymond is matched up with Yetur Gross-Matos. Okay, you're looking at that and you're saying that's not a good matchup. Now notice the personnel again of the Lions offense here. This is where they can utilize the players that they have to try to create matchups, and I think this is how they do it. You can see two tight ends. Look, Brock Wright and Sam Laporta are both in wide alignments. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they continuously go out there and show that. Maybe they go out wide first, maybe they go single back first, then they break out and split out. But in this case, I think they just came out in this look immediately on the play. But what that does is for the defense, when they see that personnel, which I didn't think DoseOfDion pointed out that they would shift that very late in the play. Like when they got into the huddle, they would change their personnel very late. So the defense is just now matching personnel for personnel. So when they break out of the huddle and they put both tight ends wide on the play, now it's like, okay, are they going to go into zone coverage? That's of course a part of it, okay, because where are you going to put your matchups then? They want to keep their linebackers in the box. So in this case, now you're saying to yourself, okay, we got matchups that we like then, because defensively they have basically 5 defensive linemen. Gross-Matos is in the slot, and they have 2 off-ball linebackers, creating matchups here in the slot because you have Gross-Matos matched up with Khalif. So if this is zone coverage, that would make sense. But if this is man coverage, now you're like, oh, that's a matchup all day. Also, Jamison in the slot was a very big key in this game. They used him a lot there, and this is the drop on the play, but I thought the setup was very creative. So you may think this is zone, but they're actually going to man up here. They're going to man, and then Gross-Matos in the slot. Notice where the safety is on the play. I thought this was a key indicator as well. You're going to see, now a lot of times you can disguise that, right? So this safety could roll down. He could just play into the flat. This guy could drop out. This could, he could roll the middle field, and then he could get a cover 3 look. So you can obviously disguise that. But if you notice, he is lined up across from the slot on this play. Reason being, Gross-Matos can't carry that vertically. Here, you're going to see they're going to man up the running back. However, here, what they're going to do is, because he's going to run kind of that little option route almost with the outside leverage here for Gross-Matos, and then he's going to break it back inside. This is their off-ball zone linebacker. They're not blitzing, so they have the one little rat. He's just going to help off to the inside, almost bracket in Khalif Raymond as this route stays underneath instead of purely manning up. Gross-Matos is going to try to stick with it, but that's not a good matchup one-on-one. So while that takes place and they kind of bracket that in here, what that does is on the backside, because I think Goff can recognize this very quickly, oh, they're manned up on this play. And once you recognize that this is manned up and that linebacker is now going to help towards the inside, all that tells you is that the backside, everybody's singled up. You have a deep safety playing over the slot, and that means that everybody on this backside has no help. Then you point to Jameson Williams, who's going to run a whip route here. Now, if you look, this is a pretty well-run route, in my opinion. This looks pretty darn good. All right, you're going to see him right here, boom, sink at the top of the route, slam on the brakes with his speed and then break back inside. What's going to happen is this linebacker is matched up with Montgomery, but with the route, Troy Hill's in the slot is going to continuously just flow over to the flat. Now there's no middle field help because you have Gross Matos on Khalif Raymond. Now the linebacker has to help there, so now there's no help for Jameson Williams. He just dropped it on this play. But that's really the big thing to me, is just to set up the lines we're able to get here with the personnel that they were able to throw on the field. We saw a lot of this in this game as well, and you're going to notice it right here. The Lions are going to shift the running back and the tight end based on the pre-snap look that we get. You're going to see it again here. Look where the safety is. He's right over top of the tight end on this play. So Goff's going to go up here, and he's going to flip the play. He's going to flip Sam Laporta and David Montgomery. So watch what happens. When they flip, this safety is now going to sit and roll over top of the tight end on this play. Kind of like what we just talked about. Whether that was the third receiver or the inline tight end, 1, 2, 3, you go 3 receivers on one side of the field. Now all of a sudden, they don't want someone to carry vertically. Now in this case, see, the safety is actually going to work his way inside the hash marks. He's going to go straight up from Sam Laporta on this play. He's outside. He gets kind of on top of this route. You're going to see Gross Matos is then going to be forced to drop out, play underneath. But then again, as it goes vertical, he's going to let that go. Now they're going to be manned up again on this play. But the real key here is what the Lions are able to create. Now this pass was also dropped on this play. And we tried to go to this later. I thought the defense played it a lot better. They played it differently. That was really the key here. But they're going to run kind of that China concept where you run the deep corner route, then underneath you run a couple like 5-yard routes. Now in this case, the Lions are going to run whip routes. Outside, break back inside. I think a lot of times that can set up really well against zone coverage, but in this case, they're going to run those whip routes underneath, and then over top, they're going to hit the corner. But because they're manned up defensively, he's passing off to the safety, and you can see he has inside leverage. If you notice on this play, he releases outside of the edge defender. Now, all of a sudden, Sam Laporta has outside leverage, and he's breaking into a corner route with no safety help. So that's what Goff is able to play off of is, okay, both these guys are manned up. They're sticking underneath. Now, Troy Hill, late on this play, does a nice job of dropping out and kind of getting in, I think, that passing lane a little bit on this play. If anything, maybe you can try to hold this a little bit longer, just go right over top. But the point is that he still put it there in a position to catch it, put it in his hands. Laporta did a really nice job, I think, adapting to where the ball was going. You're going to see where he breaks it. It's almost like it's a little bit flat because of Troy Hill's kind of in a passing lane, but he pushes through the route and goes and finds the football. He's just unable to come up with it. Now, here was the stop defensively, and this was on a 4th and 4 look. I would say the only issue here is really maybe getting a little bit tunnel visioned because, yes, Jameson Williams is going to open up as he's running this deep crossing route, but you can understand why he looked here, understanding the situation and how many yards they needed. They needed 4 yards, so you understood why he did what he did, and I think it was a pretty fast read here from Goff on this play. So they're going to go down into a cover 3 look here defensively. You're going to see that short motion in here for Sam Laporta, and he's actually going to drag across the middle. We do this a lot offensively. We've seen it a ton where we run this drag, and then if it's zone coverage, he sits down. But here's really the key to me on this play. Yes, you're going to see Jameson Williams open up because they're in a cover 3 look, and because Troy Hill is going to drop off and play the flat because it's a cover 3 look. What that does, it puts the safety, who again on this play is lined up essentially over the slot. It's going to put him singled up with Jameson Williams. Now, I think in a way they were trying to disguise maybe what coverage they were going into, and then they broke into zone coverage. And I think Goff did a pretty good job of recognizing when they went to zone coverage. To me, the biggest key was seeing that, hey, Dave Montgomery is running the swing route, and no one's matching him up. So I'd be thinking, yeah, okay, this is zone coverage. And I think that's why he did what he did, because you could watch this and say, oh, he just should have threw it to Dave Montgomery. And, you may have a point there. Maybe he does pick that up. But you could understand what he was trying to do, because when they run this drag on the motion, immediately as he sees that it's zone coverage, he's going to, I think, key on this hook zone defender, okay? That inside zone defender to cover 3. The key on that guy and try to move him. Here's what he does. He does the quick little fake here, him down out of this play to go pursue Dave Montgomery and hit Sam Laporta, who's rolling across the middle of the field to sit down in zone coverage. I also do give credit to Gross Matos on this play because he doesn't bite at all. You're going to see the fake here. He doesn't bite at all. If anything, he kind of just sticks with it a little bit, and he doesn't really move at all in coverage. So Goff comes off it, then immediately he fires it right back to Montgomery as he sees that, yeah, he's not following that. So I'm going to throw it back down to David Montgomery. It's really, to me, a nice job by Troy Hill on this play because he did not follow this. He passed that off. He could have followed Jameson Williams in that threat of the speed. That's where the route's actually going to open up is here, or potentially Antoine Green, maybe, though that would have been a lot tighter. More so Jameson Williams. But you could understand why that happened. It was a good play, I think, by the defender. So this is a short yardage situation. You could see by how the defensive line is playing this inside the A gaps. The Lions are going to, again, utilize that jet motion to lead block, as we've seen. A lot of toss plays in this game. That's what they do here, so they run the toss play. Now you're going to see the defender, he's trying to kind of follow the jet motion across the play, probably manned up if it was, if it was in coverage. He was probably manned up here on Brock Wright because it's a short yardage situation. They're going to pin down Khalif Raymond on the edge defender. Taylor Decker, how about the agility there by Taylor Decker and the block by Khalif, but the agility for Decker to bounce outside of that, break up to the second level. Brock Wright picks up the cornerback. Taylor Decker lays a block there because, again, they only need a few yards on this play. I thought that was just a pretty agile block there. And then, again, Marvin Jones Jr., this probably wasn't the cleanest block whatsoever, but he tried to get up to the second level and pick up the motion defender, which was the safety on this play.
Now, the one thing that I did find interesting with this, because I like the idea on paper, let's lean on our quickness rather than trying to win in the interior where they have some really good interior, big defensive linemen. Let's win by leaning on our quickness. Let's get to the edge quickly. But the Lions are out in 11 personnel, meaning they only have one tight end on the field. If you notice defensively, they're kind of in the same defensive package that they normally play when we have two or more tight ends on the field. So I thought that was interesting. Again, leaning into our quickness.
And to me, this was just Ben Johnson being super creative. And we started to see the screen looks. There was a stretch here where the Lions were just hitting it. It was another way to attack, I think, what they like to do defensively. This is actually going to be a cover 3 look that we're going to get. They're going to go to a 4-by-1 look initially here. At wide, they're going to put Montgomery. They're going to bunch up 3 receivers on this play with a tight end in there. Then on the backside, they're going to go one-on-one in this empty look. Now, what you're going to see is here's that short motion in. It's really the motion that is the key to everything here. But also, I think the look that you just get pre-snap based on what coverage they're probably going into. Again, you have the safety over top of the slot, but defensive back here in the near for linebacker just shifting, playing inside leverage or just barely outside of the box, and then you have that single high safety. Then you motion in, but the real key to me here is the way that David Montgomery sells this thing. Because first off, I think you have to like the numbers that you have, and then on top of that, it's really, again, to me, picking one player, and it's keying on that linebacker. You want to stay in the box, so let's get that done. How do we do it? Well, you're in cover 3, so you're not manned up on the play. So this motion is going to move him because he's not matched up with Khalif. They don't want to do that, right? And you can see where he's at. He's not matched up. He's not matched up here on the inside with the tight end. So we know you're in zone coverage. So here's how we attack that. We'll delay this. He's going to kind of walk in. We've seen this all the time. It's like, wait, we show this on film. This is what you expect. And then it's not going to be that. We do this all the time. We go empty, and then we bring in the running back. And in this case, as soon as we start to do that, watch where the linebacker's eyes go. Linebacker now is watching the quarterback. So now all of a sudden you have a 3-on-4 because he's just assuming Dave Montgomery's walking back into that box. But here's the real key. They're in cover 3. So watch what happens. He's going to jump out to his zone because, again, initially pre-snap, you have 4 guys on one side of the field. But once you bring in Montgomery and he's assuming he's coming in on this play, now it's more balanced to the point where he's got to get over to his zone on the opposite side hash because now you would have 3-on-3 essentially on this play. But then they break him back outside. Linebacker shifts over to his zone. He's not even looking at Montgomery. And now all of a sudden you create 3 blockers with 1 back and the ball in his hands. You just outnumbered him. You completely outnumbered him with some craftiness here. And then again, really nice blocking. You see Troy Hill turned his back on Sam Laporta, so he was handling business. There's Khalif up to the second level. I love Khalif Raymond, man. And that was a big first down. So the defense matches. 5-man front, 2 off-ball linebackers, 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive backs. Again, they're playing 2 deep safeties with the safety over here. They're balancing this up. But you could just look at this pre-snap and say, okay, yeah, we got a matchup. Because again, Gross Matos is lined up over the tight end on this play, which means that linebacker may have some role on this. But here's what they do. The key is the motion. So again, what do the Lions show? They show we're going to jet motion, we'll toss it that way. We're going to get that guy to lead block. But they're not going to. They're going to fake that. Here's how they fake it. They're going to bring the jet motion with Laporta. They're going to fake the toss. Oh, my goodness. It's the little things, but it's beautiful. They bring the jet. Now, watch what this does. That edge defender, who, again, as we've seen, has dropped out when they drop into coverage. Gross Matos sees that take place, so now all of a sudden he slides inside and he's going to crash down on this backside to take away the toss. So that's immediately what he's thinking. Okay, there's the fake toss. I got to crash down. Also, the off-ball linebacker, the next closest guy that would be support here, is going to shift that way with the jet motion because what they do is their defensive line, a lot of times they won't shift techniques as we see here with the fast motion. Instead, the linebackers will shift. So with that jet motion, linebackers shift. Now you created a 1-2 on 2. So you got a 2-on-2. Plus, you're going to run a tunnel look with Penei Sewell getting out there as well as Graham Glasgow. And because Gross Matos bites down, now you essentially outnumber them once again on display. There's the quick hitter. it's really nice vision though by Khalif. Like, let's give him some credit for what he does when the ball gets in his hands. And it's a super creative look. And then here's the touchdown play. I won't spend a lot of time here because I'm sure, you know, you've all seen this many times. They're going into a cover 3 look defensively. You can see the safety rolling down. There's the 4 rushers, but he's actually going to be the flat defender on this play because, again, where the strong side is, we have 3 receivers to one side of the field. So they're just shifting bodies to that side of the field. And the Lions are going to run a double reverse. So there's the toss. Here's the first reverse. They're going to reverse it back to Jared Goff, and then, of course, he's going to throw the football. Again, the key to me here becomes Jeremy Chin. And there's actually a couple things. First off, you bring the short in motion, okay? So you're stacking these receivers up. Now, if this is cover 3, what does that mean? Well, he's the outside third. So what you do is, and you're going to see him shift a little bit here, there's the vertical release. Outside third has to take that. So he's going to take that corner with him. He's going to run that post route. He just clearing him out of the play. Then, on this play, it becomes down to Jeremy Chin because he's usually that flat defender. And actually, I don't think he does a great job here with the little show block and then take off with Laporta. He's just gone. That's really the key on this play. But then also the safety here. He's caught up in the mix as well as the linebackers. Watch this backside linebacker, by the way. Like, he's completely lost. This dude has no idea what's going on. But then also the free safety on this play. You're going to see with the toss, he's like, okay, I'll slide that direction to play the run because I got zone coverage. He's got the outside third, and then he sees the reverse, and he's like, okay, he's got that. I got to crash down. So he's crashing down. He's like, oh, snap. Now it's back to Goff. He's completely out of the play. He's not helping anybody. And then, again, it's Jeremy Chin here who flies down by Khalif Raymond. He's got the flat. That guy goes vertical. Now he has 1 threat on his side of the field. Really 2. It's Sam Laporta and it's Khalif. But with Sam Laporta showing block and then Khalif running this reverse, now all of a sudden he's getting aggressive and biting down on that. Once you see it goes back to Goff, he's not even thinking Sam Laporta. I don't even think in his mind he's thinking Sam Laporta at all. I think that's the last thing on his mind. And to me, that's why this works, because he just runs right by him. But to me, that's why it works, because it's the last thing on his mind. Plus Montgomery's out here, but he wasn't really a threat at all. But boom, you create the shot play, little double reverse touchdown. That was pretty. I think, again, attacking what they show you immediately. You break the huddle, Goff reads his keys, and he can shift immediately out of play. And I think this is a good example. Look what they do. Lions go 3 by 1. What do I see? I see Jeremy Chin following over here to take on Sam Laporta. That's the first thing I'm thinking. All right, wait, look, we know their linebackers aren't great covering tight ends. The first thing I notice is Jeremy Chin is following over here to match up with Sam Laporta right out of the huddle. So as soon as I see that, I would be thinking, that guy's manned up here. And if he's manned up, everybody's manned up. So immediately they do the same thing. They flip the running back and they flip the tight end. Now, once they do that, what does this defense do? They follow along. Or your man beaters. They weren't great at covering tight ends except for Jeremy Chin. He's pretty good there. But Sam Laporta was a guy that we drafted this offseason that we said, hey, he can beat man coverage, right? He can beat man coverage. A lot of times you think receivers, when you don't have St. Brown, who's usually this guy, who's the next guy became Laporta. And this is, to me, just as simple as that. Winning one-on-one. They're going to roll down this safety to take on kind of this 2-by-2 look. They're going to go with a robber look. Here's the deep middle safety. And they're going to go one-on-one with Chin. He's outside leverage, so he pushes that. And then, boom, break back inside on time. First down. It cut out kind of weird there, but finding guys that can win one-on-one. Here's the one that I love so much because it goes back to what we already talked about, but it's just another example of it. Lions go into a duo look. Now, they're going to utilize a loop motion here. You're going to see that with Jameson Williams. He takes a ton of attention. You see the safety shift on this play. And when they do that and they overload this side, notice safety drives down. This safety goes to the middle of the field. So you're creating numbers on one side of the field. And the duo play is towards that side of the field, meaning that it's going to be towards the tight end side because that's how duo runs are ran. So when you pull the safety up front, now you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, but he's dropping deep middle versus 1, 2, 3, 4 plus Khalif Raymond again is going to split across. Now here's the difference. He's not going to split up to the second level. He's going to double team that edge defender right here. Boom. He just slams himself right into the edge defender on the tight end because what could destroy this is if Yeturgos Matos blows back Brock right into the play, now there's no cutback lane for him here. There's your strong double team right here in the interior. That's the double team that they're really setting. And then over here, they're going to work double team initially, get up to the second level once it's pushed into Decker. But really here, I love the creativity. Utilize Khalif. Bam. You're not blowing up this play. Montgomery has a little bit of a lane to slide through, and then he has another good chunk on the play. Truly thought this was one of Goff's best plays in the game. I know it's like very simple, it seems like, but to me, this is one of my favorite plays that he made in this entire game because I'm watching it live, and it felt like like a college play, right? Where the guy's just running across the middle of the field, they're manned up, and the guy's wide open, and you're just like, what the heck is the defense doing? That's what it felt like. It felt like a whole college play where this was like super basic. But when you watch it back, you're like, oh no, that's not what this was. This was actually just a really good identification, I think, by Goff here. So watch what they do again. They're going to go to this 2-by-2 look, okay? We're going to get those inside, kind of condensed look on one side of the field. You're also going to have kind of a tight end alignment here from Khalif, and then the one wide receiver. Watch what they'll do. So they're going to roll down the safety into cover 3, but they're going to bring the slot. So the slot, Troy Hill, as they're buzzing down this safety, would you normally have the flat on this play, but they're going to blitz him. And I think Goff picks up on this as he's going to do the play action on this play, as he's going to the run fake. I think he recognized that Troy Hill is walking up to blitz. You can see his eyes peek over there. I think he glanced there and right at the snap. Look at his eyes. Look where his face mask is. He is watching, I believe, Troy Hill, that slot defender, blitzing down, right? He's seeing that and he's like, okay, as soon as I fake this pass, I know where I need to throw this. And we saw it early in the game. Red Lions tried to do the play fake. They brought the double corner blitz, and he immediately had to get it out. So it almost felt like it kind of got his, like, hey, your spidey sense is going, right? Like, oh, okay, hold up. That guy might be coming off the backside if I'm doing a play fake here. And I think that's what happened. I think he recognized it right here. His eyes are seeing the slot, so he's like, okay, cool. I know what's happening. So when he blitzes down, now he knows they're losing an underneath zone defender. Well, here's the key on the play. It's Khalif Raymond running vertically. Because Khalif Raymond is running vertically, he's going to take the one underneath zone defender. There's 2 over here, and there's 1 on this side of the field because it's balanced, and it's a balanced coverage. So when you take a guy out of that, now he's got to pick it up because there's only one guy on that side of the field that can actually pick that up. So that's what happens. He picks it up. Underneath, they run the drag route right here with Josh Reynolds, and that's the key. This is the outside third, so he's going to pass that off. There's the flat, and there's the underneath inside zone defender that doesn't have Khalif Raymond. So he is forced to pick it up on the play because Khalif Raymond went vertical, and because from the widest receiver, which is really just a slot, is running this drag route with the timing, the safety that's rolling down doesn't even pay attention to that, right? He's got to fill basically 2 zone holes on one side of the field because they're blitzing. So I think that was the key here because you're going to see Goff play fake, and immediately back foot, just flips it out there, knew exactly where he wanted to go with the football. And to me, you saw the coaches on the sideline like, nice, that was money. And to me, the reason is because I think he recognized it when he was snapping the football. And a lot of the looks that we had pre-snap, we changed it up a little bit. You're going to see the safeties come in. You're going to see they're going to be both tight ends in. So now we're in that 12 personnel look offensively, which we talked about, right? And what that does is the defense has to match it. So you're going to see here, they do end up getting 7 in the box, but they're still playing 2 deep safeties. I think that's a key on this play. But then again, watch what they do here. So again, you get the motion and then return motion. Now, he's not actually going to go through. A lot of times, again, we see the jet, and then we immediately snap it. What that does to me, so watch here. You're going to see the defensive line does shift a little bit on this play, specifically on the backside, but it's really the linebackers. Linebackers are going to float over there. The key is because of the jet, everybody's shifting. Everybody's like, okay, we got to get over there. Well, then he rolls back, and that's the key because as you're going to see, immediately you're looking at it, you're saying, okay, Jonah Jackson, right? He probably has, the B gap on this play, and then the edge rusher. Well, when you bring that motion over, now all of a sudden he's jumping outside almost all the way till he's on top of Sam Laporta. Then when they bring him back, now he's still stuck out there because they're snapping it immediately as he goes back. They're not waiting for him to go back and then snap it. They're snapping it immediately. So he's still in that fast motion. He's just returning the motion back. All that does to me is instead of just snapping it where they're aligned at pre-snap, you're just pulling the linebacker and then immediately you're picking Brock Wright right back to where he was. Then Sewell can get upfield and block and Brock Wright can come back and seal off. All that does is it pulls the linebacker out of the play. So when they snap it, defensive tackle slants inside. Now he's out wide. You really don't have anybody in the B gap in this play. You don't have anybody there. So all it takes is a seal here from Frank. Jonah's got a clear path to the second level, and then you're going to see that he's able to create a pretty nice run once again. Now this one, again, it's just the little things. I love the way the Lions isolate matchups. It's so fun to watch, and this was a good example. So you go cover 6 here to the one receiver side with the back. We've seen this a lot. They go cover 6. So they're going to overload one side of the field. How do you do that? You do it with the fast motion for the running back. Now you got 4 receivers on that side. So overload and force those underneath zone defenders to shift. So you have one speedy receiver on this side. They're going to go cover 2 here. They're going to go cover 4 over here. But when they motion over, now all the linebackers have to shift because they have an extra body. We have one less defender. If he's, playing quarters, he's playing the hash mark. We're losing an underneath defender. So we need to slide this direction. And that's what happens here. This slides this linebacker over. And you're going to see the safety on this play. Once this takes place, watch the safety tell him, hey, he's saying, okay, go down. go. So he pushes up to go play that cover 2 look with safety up over top. But the issue becomes this. Normally, he would have middle field help. Now, even still, it wouldn't be great because of just where he's aligned at. It's probably not great to count on your middle field help when you're looking at this and saying, hey, the linebacker's all the way. He's lined up essentially right over the right guard. All right, there's right over the left guard. There's really not a lot of help here towards the inside. But the point is that he steps up to go take this away, has no help to the inside, so he sits outside leverage. Khalif just breaks a slant, and he basically just allows him to walk inside, and he just sits down in the zone hole. So with all this going on, you overload one side. Goff looks that direction, pulls the linebacker. Now he has zero help, and now it's just one-on-one with one guy that's playing outside leverage with nobody inside leverage, and he just sits down in the zone hole. And you can see they were kind of frustrated defensively after that play, but you got 15 yards there. And this one, I won't spend too much time. It's really just a creativity. The fact that they snapped the ball through Goff's legs. I didn't even know they did this initially. I did not know they snapped this ball through Goff's legs, but come on, man. I mean, at some point, you're just like, dude, this guy, last year, you think about the screen where we pitch it back. I don't remember what happened. It was against the Packers. And now you're getting stuff like this. And this didn't even work extremely well. David Montgomery made something happen of it, right? He made it happen because he had a really good run on this play. But, dude, the creativity is nuts here, right? He's looking for the motion. Everybody's focused on that. Look where the linebacker's eyes are. Watch this. Hey, motion. Look at everybody's eyes, right? Because they're seeing it all day. So now all of a sudden, when it goes through his legs, now Goff is like, oh, snap, where'd the ball go? And now they have to figure out where it is. Now, the defensive line won up front. That was really the key here is that they're, forcing blown blocks. And then because of that, now all of a sudden, you're going to see Brian Burns gets inside to Taylor Decker. There's the interior push. So now he's forced to bounce around, but he still makes something happen because he's David Montgomery and he's been a dog for us. Then here, one more cover one look, right? One more man coverage to look. And I thought, this is a team we knew coming in, played heavy man. They would mix heavy zone. They would mix man. They were heavy zone. But the one weakness I pointed to, I said, hey, I think we can attack the receivers on the outside. I would look for the outside receivers to get going. Here's how that happened. We took a look at the shot in the zone coverage. How about when they man up? How do we know that? Well, one, it looks like the same look that we had earlier when it was man. But two, outside leverage on a slot release. This is a key. Why is this a key? We saw the same thing last week. With Josh Reynolds, right? They were playing outside leverage, and he had to get outside of the cornerback that was sitting outside leverage. He's in a slot alignment on the field side. That gives him a ton of space over here to just work for Jared Goff to put the ball up. And you have a middle field safety who's playing directly over the center. So that's the key. He's not out wide. He's giving him room. So now all the key comes down to is get outside of that corner and let Goff just drop into the bucket because he has so much room to work with. You just got to put it over there. And the ball was money. The route was money. We'll take a look at it here. Watch him walk him up, get outside, get that outside shoulder, and now once that happens, yeah, you can try to squeeze it to the sideline at this point, but dude, there's so much room. That's not even a threat. There really is no help on that side. Now it's just about putting it over the defender's head and letting Josh Reynolds go get it. Just drop it in the bucket, and he absolutely did that. Beautiful throw, beautiful catch over shoulder, and just a beautiful chunk play again.
Even something like this feels wild to me. To go 13 personnel, so you force the strong side to the right side. You can see how their linebackers have to play that because, again, they'll play multiple techniques for their defensive linemen. You utilize a short motion to give Daryl Daniels almost like a head start because he's got to cross 7 players on the offensive line before he can get to the opposite side. But then normally in a split zone look, right, Taylor Decker would get up to the second level. Well, because that linebacker is in the A gap, he's right off the left shoulder of Frank Ragnow, they're just going to ask him to basically seal off the backside of Yetur Gross-Matos. Now, he doesn't do a great job. There's some push-up field, which forces the cutback lane. But because of that, because they're just asking him to seal that block, Daryl Daniels is actually going to slide up to the second level to pick up that cutback block, and then it isolates Craig one-on-one with the defensive back. I mean, this kind of stuff is creative.
Joe Daniels doesn't pick that up, so he just gets up to the second level, so it comes down to him winning that basically one-on-one. Boop, there's the bounce, gets up to the second level, and now he's running. Craig Reynolds had an awesome stretch running the football, so I want to at least get one of his plays in there because he was great. I really like Craig Reynolds, man. I think he's the dog, and he showed off that vision in this game. Monty's got the vision, and when you block and you have vision, things like that are going to take place when you create matchups, and that's what I thought happened with Craig Reynolds. You were able to go zone, you're able to allow him to use his vision, and on top of that, you were also blocking well, getting movement. And once that takes place, guys with vision are going to make things happen, and that's what he did. But anyways, I'm going to leave it right there. Those are some of the key plays I took away from this Lions offensive game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, Brad, for watching, and I'm out.